think that fan games can be some of the best games ever made. Here's a fan game I have played before that I would say is up there in my third favorite game of all time, and that game is AM2R. And if you know me, I don't pick favorites, so this is really saying something. Who needs official games when you have all of these good fan ones out there that are better than the official games? You wouldn't believe how rare it is to find an actual good official Thomas game. I've been on that journey myself, and not fun. But there are some good ones, and this means that those fan games can be inspired by them and even make those fan games better than those official games. But I'm going to be honest with everyone here, I'm running out of great games to talk about. I have covered so many of the amazing Thomas Roblox fan games here, and it's getting hard to find more games that are actually really good. So I'm sure that there are some amazing games out there that I have never played and probably will never know about, but I've managed to find some games to cover for this video. But before we get started on that, I have a new Roblox game called Sodor Comic Land, which is based off of Thomas comic books, and I could really use people to help with the game. These are the requirements on screen to join, and if you want to join, contact me on Discord right here. So with that all out of the way, let's talk about some Thomas Roblox games. I really like Sudric Isles. It's a neat game, and its gameplay is very different from what I have played with most Thomas Roblox games. For the engines, you have to spawn them in with this lamppost, which is honestly really nice. Now, the way you control the engines in this game is with a slider. You click forwards or reverse, and then you just slide this slider to go as fast as you want. It feels so weird in comparison to the other games, and it kind of messed with my muscle memory here, but it's not bad. It's actually really nice once you get used to it. It's a really good control scheme, but I know for some they just will flat out not play this game because of it. Now, you can really customize a lot in this game. You can move the sun, you can edit everything lighting wise, you can change the skybox. This is all really nice and probably super helpful for remakes. Now, the game's normal lighting is alright, none of the colors pop or have a nice contrast with each other. It's nothing bad, and all the lighting and color choices is something I struggle with my game, so I know that this isn't something that is the easiest to do. But besides this default lighting that is kinda ugly, I really do love the way this game looks. The models are really accurate, the buildings are nice, and the layout is just fun to drive on. This Thomas game is a really good game, and if you are looking for a game that is like the Model series, I highly recommend it. Woodset is probably the best wooden railway Thomas game on Roblox right now. This game's style has a nice cartoony look, which might sound like a bad thing, but it is done really well for this game. The faces for the engines are all in 2D, which I usually dislike 2D faces for Thomas Roblox games because it just feels so weird. But for this game, they're actually really nice to look at. This game is like a really big wooden railway layout. It's really fun to drive on, and it's very creative. I also really like the look these trees made from wood have. They don't look out of place, and there's a nice variety of them to make them feel like a natural part of the game. There are also some realistic looking trees, and they work really well with the wooden ones too. Yeah, I know I'm talking about trees, which sounds like it's super boring, but hey, they're really cool and done really well. So I'm gonna talk about trees if I want to. How are you gonna respond to that, tree hate? Now, the biggest surprise I found in this game is that I was rewarded for exploring without an engine. Yeah, that's right, without an engine. There is this area where if you do some parkour, you get this blue key, and you can use it to unlock a gate, and you get this nice little winter area. Probably my only complaint about the game is that there isn't enough engines around the map. There will be some locations that will just not have engines, and it's really weird. But besides that, I really like this game, and I highly recommend you go play it, especially if you like Thomas and Friends Wooden Railway stuff. The Industrious Railway has really nice looking models. I mean, just look at these models here, they look so nice and have a great amount of detail. But besides the engine models, this game isn't as great looking. The starting area looks nice and has a nice set, but the more you explore the game, it just gets less detail. That might be because they wanted the game to be out and the set decoration will come in a later update, But that doesn't change the really sad quality of the buildings. The buildings feel like they needed buildings as fast as possible, so they just made some low detail buildings and were fine with it. The engines were definitely the main priority for this game, and this game is still worth playing, I think, even if it feels empty and a little weird with low detail buildings. I think that in the future, if this game gets an update where all the buildings have the same amount of detail and care that the engines get, it will look so amazing. Also, some teleporters would be nice because this is a big game. The controls for this game are really nice. I don't find myself derailing that often, and the engines drive really well. I'm pretty sure this game is still in development, but I should mention that the game does feel just a little empty, but only the more you go around down the line. Like, for the start, it's pretty well done, but later on, it just feels empty. I'm sure that this will all be fixed in a future update, because I think this game is still being worked on, and for right now, I would still highly recommend this game because the engines look really good. But if you were looking for a game that you can just drive around in and really love the environment and everything in it, this really isn't the game for you. If you just really like nice looking engine models, this will be a good game. But for now, it's really in need of an update. But you should still play it. I highly recommend it. Plunge into the Scrappy is the first Crash game I have ever talked about on this channel. I've been meaning to cover these games, but when I would find one, I would forget what it was called, and then I couldn't find another good Crash game. But this time, I remembered. So let's take a look at it. Plunge into the Scrappy has a lot of real locomotives in it, along with some Thomas characters. It's more of real locomotives than Thomas characters, so this is more of just like a locomotive Crash game and not like a Thomas Crash game, but I still feel like it's worth mentioning. These models all look really nice. The game has you go at top speeds with the camera shaking. It makes you feel like you're just going so incredibly fast, and then you get to the end and then you just die. There is even a system where if you die a certain amount of times, you get to drive a new engine. So there's a pretty huge replay value, and killing yourself and the engines isn't just because you like to see stuff die, it's because you like to see stuff die so you can watch more stuff die later on. The game also has a day and night cycle. I really like day and night cycles as long as the game looks good at night and day, and they did a really good job with it. Plunge into the Scrappy is such a fun time, and probably the best Crash game for trains, and I highly recommend to play this game. Tiny Tank Engines is a game made by the YouTuber Thomas Adventures. For those Thomas Adventure viewers who might be expecting me to talk about their channel, I can't really say anything about them because I'm not like the biggest fan of their content, and I haven't watched a lot, so I wouldn't really be able to tell you anything about the channel, but luckily that's not what I'm covering, because I am talking about this game. The remastered version of this game. I was going to cover the original one, but then the remaster just came out and I was like, you know what? The remaster is better anyway, I might as well talk about it. Tiny Tank Engines is a very accurate name for this game. This game's main appeal, I would say, is to have a toy-like style of Sodor. The track is yellow and the engines are all very toy-like. Now I do like how the engines aren't plastic, they use metal textures, and the colors don't feel all bright like a toy would, which is neat because it can play into the style of still looking like a toy, but also being a little more realistic so it's not like too kiddie. I also really like how you can fly this hot air balloon here. This is extremely fun, and I want to do this for every game now on. I also really like the rolling stock for this game, which the original one did not have, which is so weird. Now the buildings though are just kind of trash. Colors are too bright and not even like a toy-like charm. They just look like they are from a realistic Thomas game, and they look so out of place here, which it just looks so weird in comparison to the models. Also, the world feels so empty, probably because there aren't a ton of trees or bushes or just stuff to fill up the empty spots of the map, and that is usually worked on once the game is near to its final stages, so I'll give it a pass for that. The skybox is beautiful, but the lighting makes it feel out of place, and the lighting really makes the game's colors feel off. And absolutely the worst thing about this game is that you have to buy the day changer. This feature is free in so many Thomas Roblox games, but in this one you have to pay for it. This is ridiculous because what ends up happening is that this kid will join a public server, change the day to night, and then leave the game, which makes no one happy. This is such a simple feature paywalled that should not be paywalled. Now you might be saying, it's only 5 Robux, it shouldn't be anything hard to purchase. I know it's cheap, but it shouldn't be there in the first place. It's such a simple thing that you could just make for free. It's so stupid to paywall. Might as well just make me buy the game for 5 Robux instead of having to buy the game changer. Now, I know I complained about this game more than I talked about it being good, and that isn't because I don't like it. I think the game is good. It's not like visually unique or anything, and I don't think it's trying to be the best Thomas Roblox game out there. So for what it is, it's good, but not anything absolutely you need to play. I would say only play this game if you really want to. Like, if you see this and think, I'll have a fun time with this, play it. But if you're thinking like you want a brand new experience and finding a new game just to change it up a little, this is not the game to play. An Ordinary Railway is a very simple game that looks pretty cute. I love this game's art style. It just works. And the colors for this game look really nice here too. I really like the lobby theme for this game here. It is just so good and fits the environment perfectly. Just listen to this. Thanks to Angel Perella Productions for letting me use this song in the video, and I highly recommend you go check them out. It's going to be the top link in the description. Now, gameplay wise, it's also a really good game. It plays how you expect it to, but the game is missing some stuff that I think would be really cool, like an eye tool to place for footage, or the Shift C camera. That would be so helpful. And this stuff would be just so nice to have to make the game even better. And I think it'll probably end up being in the game. I mean, most of them have it anyway. I would be surprised this one didn't get it. Now, as of right now, there aren't a lot of places to go. The map is pretty small, and that's because this game is still getting worked on. It's only been out for 4 months, so that's barely anything at all to work on for a game. I also think that the map being small is the reason why the engines go so slow. They're barely fast, it's really annoying. The buildings are actually pretty nice. I do hope that one day the buildings get an update where you can see through the glass and probably just see a black void, but it'd be cool. There is not a whole lot to do in this game, and that doesn't really let me say a lot about it, but I recommend that you play this game, even if the map is small. But in some time, I could see this game becoming even better than it already is. MSR The Golden Years is a game that has all of the mid-Sodor engines. It's honestly really cool. It has every single mid-Sodor model Wilbur Audrey made as a playable character, and they have faces, and the faces are just kind of weird in comparison to the rest of the game. You have some really nice models with nice Roblox terrain, and then you just have like a screenshot of George's face and Trevor's face, and then this Mine Engine's face, but then some of them, like Duke, have 3D faces. Maybe this is something that like will be changed in like the future? I don't know. It's just kind of weird. This game is pretty fun though. The models look great, the world is nice, and best of all, there's this sheep that moves around. 10 out of 10 game. You can't top this sheep. This is overall just like a really fun game to do. You can kind of just drive around and look at what's there. And I think that I would like this even more if the engines were just faster. It's really slow, and being this slow lets you absorb the environment around you and just more appreciate the work that went into this game. It's just really beautiful, and it feels like an experience, but the engine should still be faster. I mean, I know going slow is like what made me appreciate this game more, but if I could just go a little more faster, it would be so much nicer. I mean, that's just my biggest complaint about this game, really. But MSR The Golden Years is a really nice and relaxing game that you should go check out. Okay, I really don't want to say the name of this game because I find it to be so stupid. Like, no offense to the creator of this game, I just really hate the name because it's not something I like. But for the sake of this video, I'll say it. Thum Fen is a game I thought would be one of the many garbage or just okay games I have to look through for this video series. But this game is surprisingly unique. Does this game just look like an alternative dimension Tom Cruise world? Yeah, it does. But if you can get past that, it's really cool. You sit on top of the engines to drive them, and the engines don't use gliders, which is a good or bad thing, depending on the way you look at it. There isn't a lot to do in the game at the moment, but for the amount there is, it's done pretty well. Even though at first I thought that the engine models looked weird, they have really grown on me, and it just looks nice. I like the tunnels, and they are taller so your average avatar can fit in there. Nafford Station also just looks so good in this style, I really like it here. This game does a good job with making the buildings fit with the style, and I really appreciate that. It's also kind of cute how Salty has a hat. Now there are some things that really need to be fixed with this game. For one, the engine's delete buttons don't have a decal. Now this could be a Roblox issue, which happens if you upload a decal and it won't show up for players. So if it has a custom decal and it's just not showing up, I get that. The game also needs a sprint button. You're just so slow. And I believe that your player needs a sprint button, or at least to be faster than the engines in a Thomas Roblox game, because if it's not, it really just feels so slow, and if your engine derails, it just really hurts having to go all that way back just to get the engine again. I also think that the engines got vector forces on the bottom of them. It would really help with derailments too, which, just to explain vector forces, it's just a force they can attach to the bottom of an engine that'll keep them down on the tracks. It's really helpful, and I've used it for my games too. But besides this stuff, it is still a very fun game. Would I recommend this game though? Only if you're okay with some common derailments, but if you do plan on playing this game, it'll be really fun. Now if you know me, I don't like All Engines Go. I think it's an okay show that has absolutely no value, and I question what is the appeal that the show has. It has character reintroductions that just feel pointless because it's just the worst version of the character you could get. But anyways, with my opinions out of the way of like All Engines Go, I don't want to judge this game based off of like why I don't like All Engines Go. I want to look at it as a game. So just going into this, know that if you like All Engines Go, I'm cool with that, and I don't want any hate to be sent towards the developers of this game just because I don't like All Engines Go, but also know that just because I don't like All Engines Go doesn't mean I'm not going to judge it off of like a bias. So, hope you all know that. Anyways, going into the game, the Tightrope Railway is actually a pretty fun game. It has lots of bumps in the track, which makes the game feel kind of like fun. The models look pretty nice, with the faces are just screenshots of the show, making them look just okay. I mean, some of them look pretty good, but then some of them just, no. Now, I really don't like how fragile Emily is in this game. Like, she's the character I wanted to play as. So when she just can fall off the rails without really doing anything, it's really sad for me. Also, I'm not quite too sure how you raise the engine's bodies like they do in the photo. Maybe that's just for the photo, or I'm just missing something here, but if it is in the actual game, I'm gonna say this is false advertising. Also, this game has a stupid 5 Robux paywall for the time changer again, which I've already talked about why I hate, so let's just move on from that. Something I find weird is that Sandy can't make it up the loop-de-loop here, and that honestly made me pretty sad. Overall, I know I complained about this more than I should have, but I can't really say much besides it's a pretty good game, and to my knowledge, pretty accurate to the show. So if you're an All Engines Go fan and you want a game to play that's like All Engines Go, this is a really good game to play, and I think you'll have a lot of fun with it. Not Sodor Spin-off is another Thomas Crash game. This one is more Thomas focused though. In this game you have a lot of Thomas characters and you just get this straight line of track that will just go through a cliff and then you fall and you die, and that's really it. I think that the models look nice here. The setting is nice, the engines control well, and it's really fun. And unlike Plunge into the Scrappy, there isn't a death count system, so you don't really unlock anything here. Probably my biggest complaint with this game though is that some of the engines just fall off the track at max speed, but that can be solved just going down to notch 2, so it isn't too big of a deal. But that is not Sodor Spin-off. Not much to say about it, so here's a little skit I asked my friend to make.
Hey Bill, yeah Ben, let's play a game. Whoever can get closest to the cliff without falling off wins. Alright Ben, I'll go first. I win. Whoa.
Thank you, Train Guy, for the filler. Go check him out. He makes funny videos. He's the second link in the description.
Sodor Simulator. Now, I just want to say before I talk about this game, I have not talked about this game because of the creator. I do not agree with the actions of the creator. but I have gotten a lot of requests to cover this game, and I figured might as well separate the art from the artist. Also, do keep in mind the stuff I judge this game from isn't because I don't like the creator, it's just because I don't like that part of the game. I'm judging this purely off of a game, so just hope you all know that. Sodor Simulator is a pretty fun game. You can change faces with the GUI, you can have it where you can control the eyes by moving your cursor around, you can turn the lamps on and off, and it's just really nice. Now the models are good, but the textures for the game are just pretty weird. And they are very low resolution. I think it's a stylistic choice, but it's weird because it's not consistent. Some models are made with the Roblox textures, but then some of them just use those custom weird low resolution textures. Like, if you want to do that to be a style, I mean that's fine, but just go all the way in with it, because if you don't, it's just very weird. And the trees, I mean, this is something I really wish they weren't consistent with the low resolution textures. I really hate the trees. They are really disgusting, and they're 2D, and I'm not a fan. I don't like 2D trees. I just really don't like 2D trees. Like, I know like with games where it's like trains or 3D games from the 90s have these, and I mean, I still hate it there. It's just a personal thing. I really hate 2D trees. They're just ugly and really make a game look like it's aged like 90 years for me. But if it's a style, and I get it, if it's a style, then it should have also been more consistent with the resolution thing. But if you like 2D trees or can just bear with them, it's really not big of a deal. But besides the visuals, this game is actually really fun though. This game has 2D faces for the engines, which I'm not like the biggest fan of, but they are actually done really well here. Would I prefer 3D faces? Yeah, as always, but these look really good. And you do have to pay to play this game, but honestly I would say it's worth it. This game really has a lot of neat stuff to it. It's really fun. The only thing that I think is kind of annoying is that there's no private servers, which I know just made the crowd who like to remake Thomas episodes on Roblox absolutely heartbroken there. Something cool about this game is that just by driving an engine, you get this currency, and you can use this currency to buy engines to play as. So there is stuff to do and work for, which I find to be pretty fun. Also, when you drive around the map, you can discover locations, and it'll tell you you have discovered this location, which gives off an achievement system, which I think is really cool, and the only thing I kind of wish that was a thing is that it would be like a badge, which is just like a Roblox's achievement thing. Would I recommend this game to you? Only if you're fine with like the weird low resolution textures, because if you can ignore that, this is really fun to play. Well, that is it for this Thomas Roblox Games video. If you're interested in becoming a developer for my game I'm working on, please let me know. I would really appreciate the help. But for now, this will probably be the last Thomas Roblox game video that I'll talk about for a while. I am running out of good original games to talk about, so I'm just gonna have to wait for people to keep on making them, really. This doesn't mean I'm done talking about Thomas Roblox games completely, though. I want to do a revisited video where I go back and revisit Thomas Roblox games that I've talked about before, because, you know, like, they've been updated since then. It's pretty cool. So I think that would be a fun video. Just let me know if you want that. That is all from me, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye, everyone.